Why is that on there? Oh, because that's my screen. I'm live. Howdy, howdy, howdy. They turned that echo box off. And that's my wife right there talking about saying things bad about me. Good morning, Miss Tina. Sorry you had to wait. Carol, I am sorry you had to wait. Brenda, tell your story about your clownfish. Or I guess I can. Oh, there you go. You got it. Like that. I wore that special today. I hope Mark makes it. His wife made this for me. His wife made one of these for his grandson, and I saw it, and I said, well, I gotta have one of those. And next thing I know, I had got one in the mail. But I'm wearing it today because, I got a cold head. Hey, Chuck. Glad to see you on here, buddy. Yeah, Carol, the problem with raising clownfish like that is as soon as they hatch, mom and dad eat them. If they're not real careful, you about got to catch them immediately, or unless they've got cover to hide in, they'll get et. Big thanks out to Tina for getting Chuck on there with us. Don't forget to hit the like button. I'll just say it now. Well, I was gonna. If Mark gets here, I'm gonna do a reveal on my head. He hadn't seen me since I got my hair cut. Some of you guys have. And it's got a tail too. I don't know if you. But got me a nice tail, coonskin cap with a tail, and if you noticed, I can tie it on right here under my. But I'm gonna tell you something. Oh, look there! Can get a nice split of that. Used to be an old guy that always came to Bike Week, and we'd see him every year because he was just unique. And he'd be walking around, and he had a beard kind of like mine, but it was longer, and he was weathered. I mean, this guy was a biker no joke about this guy. He rode and didn't trailer his bike anywhere, I'm guessing. But he always came. You could always tell he'd been riding because his beard was always split right down the middle and blown back both ways, and he just kept it like that. And it was just unique. Mine would do that, I'm sure, if I got it out under the helmet. And I'm sure that guy didn't wear a full face helmet like I do, but you never know. He might have, but I'm pretty sure he probably didn't. Probably didn't wear a helmet at all in some states. I'm sure about that too. Let me double check my email here. Oh, I may have a message. No, not yet. Anyway, it's a great Tina, thank you. I'll make sure Shauna knows that. It's great. Where'd Miss Peggy come? You just changed that, Tina? I didn't even notice that. Hey, Brian. Good morning. Have you changed your name, shorten your name, or is that just in chat it does that? Well, I'm gonna try to catch up here a minute. Great hat, and with you, with having your ears lowered recently, I understand that your head may be cold. And you said New Hampshire, for instance? New Hampshire? Bad parents, fish. I don't know. I'm behind there, Tina. Yeah, you did shorten. Okay, I thought. Well, I was just double checking because it looked like you, but wanted to make sure it was. Oh, Miss Piggy, you mean? Well, because I opened you up there and I thought I could see it better. Your grandmother turned 107 yesterday. Good Lord. Good for her. Well, I'll be honest with you, Carol. I hadn't heard it in a while because, well, we say it around here a lot, but I don't think everybody knows what that means. Oh, New Hampshire has no helmet laws. I got you. You're not old, Tina. When was this, Brian? I mean, when did she? Where were you at? Yesterday. Oh well, we'll have to check that out. I'll post the link in the chat if you want to send it to me on Instagram. Golly dang. Oh, I killed my comments. How does that work? 1917. Wow, right in the middle. She was born right in the middle of the First War. Well, yeah, I guess you could just post it on your IG channel, Brian, and everybody can go there and get it. My brother's middle name is Brian, and he spells it with a I. And our son-in-law's name is Brian, and he spells his Brian with an O. Yeah, just think. I mean, there is a lot. I always, there used to be a few folks around, more folks around. Well, I don't know if there are any folks this age, but I can remember talking to somebody one time that was pushing 100, and this was back in the last century. And that was what I always thought about, was anybody that was getting anywhere near that age, the things they had seen. I mean, think about that. The last century, man flew and went to the moon, and just all the things that happened in the last century. Boing, pretty phenomenal. There you go, Carol. Post it and you can put it in here, or you can go ahead and put it in here, Carol. Or check it and see if it's, or put it out, whichever one you want to do. Or you can put it in my Saturday morning shine chat. There you go. Thanks. Oh, try my Nelly. I'm hurting already this morning, guys. And yes, I've had some Tylenol and a muscle relaxer. I may have to take another one. Good morning, Diana. How are things in our neighbor to the north, Canada? Oh, Tina, me too. Me too. From horse and buggy days to the space age, Springfield. Well, she looks like she's enjoying being 107. I must admit that's I was just reading that. He talked about wallpaper in the inside of the outhouse. Some people used the Sears and Roebuck catalog for that when they weren't using it for other purposes. I've seen a lot of houses, even, and outhouses that were wallpapered with newspapers for the same reason. Is that what she said they used? I didn't. Let me go back and read it. So what she just said, wallpapered it. So it wasn't they weren't too fancy, but it kept out some of the wind. And having experienced some icy cold outhouses when I was young, I can tell you right now that any little help in the storm is good because it's it was it was a terrible thing to do on a Christmas morning if you had to run out to the outhouse. Hey, Kay, good morning. I'm wearing my special hat, which looks like the nose is I got it crooked somehow. Maybe it was crocheted crooked or knitted or whatever this is. I guess this is crocheted. She worked on the space shuttles. Well, that's pretty special. It'd be even more special if she was born in 1917. I started to say it'd be more special if she had worked on the right flyer. Then that would be impressive. Just think somebody could have done that if they were born in the late 1800s. They might have worked on both. Yes, my toque. I wonder where that name came from. I don't know if I've ever looked that up or not. Of course, we call it, I just call this a homemade hat, but we usually call things like similar a toboggan. But when you think about it, toboggans in your part of the country and here are usually a flat sled kind of thing, and which are probably more common up your way than down here. Actually, you don't see many down here anymore. I used to know people that had them to go sledding with, but geez, we just don't get that kind of snow anymore. There's a lot of kids in this world, mine included, who really missed out. Well, mine got to do it a little bit. They really got missed out on good winter snowstorms and getting to miss school. And well, they miss school now just because there's slush on the road, but which isn't any fun. But we missed school when there was this much snow on the ground, and we could get out and go sleigh riding and stuff. Or sled riding. We called it sleigh riding, but a horse wasn't pulling it. If you know what the assembly building is on Cape Canaveral, that's where they put the Saturn V's together, assembled them, and space shuttles later. I had a friend that got a job down there after the military for a little while, and he got lost in that building. I think that was his last day at work. I think. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure. He ended up on some floor up high, and he, wasn't supposed. That's not where he was supposed to work, and he couldn't find his way back down, or at least so he told it. But I knew a guy that worked in the shipyards in Newport Bay, Newport News, Virginia, and he said people were all the time getting lost on, the bigger ships like a aircraft carrier while they were welding it up. They were just so big, and when they first started putting them together, nothing was really marked. Everything didn't have like, third deck stairwell P-37 or whatever. So you had to find your way out. He said he knew of more than one case where somebody spent the night in the ship because they couldn't get out. I mean, they could get out, they couldn't get out. They couldn't find the way out. We call it sledding when we're sliding down hills, and sleigh riding if something is pulling us. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's why I say we called it sledding, just riding down the hill on a sled. But that what did I say? We called it sleigh riding. Did I say sledding? Because now I'm confused. But yeah, we called it sleigh riding, and I'm sure some people called it sledding, but most of us called it sleigh riding. And later on, I grew up, I realized, well, that's not right because, like you say, sleigh is being pulled by something. We were being pulled by gravity down the hill. One of the best things, though, we did, Brenda can attest to this, was go inner tubing. If the snow was right and you could get it packed down with inner tubes, you could fly it down the hill. And that was great fun. You had to be careful we'd get those big truck inner tubes. I had a source for those, and we could get them and blow them up and, patch up holes. They usually had a hole or two in them, but you could patch up the hole, and all you had to do was make sure you didn't, that great big long inflation tube, brass tube that came out of those tires. As long as you made sure that didn't get rammed up in places you didn't want it to. When you were going down the hill, you were okay. Yeah, I've seen people do that with a boat dying on the lake, but you don't see many snow machines, snowmobiles down here. Now, some of these other folks probably do, but down this way, it's oh, you rode a sleigh in Germany? I believe you probably see more there than here, but I don't know. If you get in the right part of the country, I guess there's plenty of people giving sleigh rides for a small fee. I've seen people around here getting a sleigh ride, but the sleigh had wheels on it. Back in the day, it could be on a sled, toboggan, or a piece of cardboard. And yes, an inner tube. There you go, Tina. Cardboard would work too. I don't know if we ever really did that or not. I'm sure somebody did. Teddy's making noise. I don't know if he's dreaming or if he's just having trouble breathing. Or if he's got a cold. He might have a little bit of a cold. Oh, it was, Carol. It was so much fun. Oh, cafeteria. Well, yeah, cafeteria trade would work if you were the right size. I don't know if I ever got to get. I'm not sure my butt would ever fit on one. I know one thing. I never could get a disc, the snow saucers, whatever they're called, snow discs. I never could get those to work that well when people had them. So I'd really like to have one of those and then have some of Chevy Chase's super lubricant to spray on the bottom. No, Brian, I did not hear that you moved. So does that mean you're no longer in California, or did you move in California? Brenda says, I'll carry all. That's funny because, well, I don't know. We've done that. We did that with our kids at daycare too. I'm now up in the Pacific Northwest. So you went, I don't know what part of California you were in. So where are you now, Brian? Washington? Canada? Alaska? And you don't have to say, I don't guess, if you don't want. Those big silver sheet pans at the cafeteria had, well, yeah, they would work. Oh, they did work. You know they worked. Because you guys used them. Your kids used them. I didn't realize I had movable ears until just now. I see you, buddy. Hang on just a minute, folks. Good morning, Boone.
Grand Uncle Tim has got his coonskin cap on. Look at that.
Look here, you got one of these?
He does.
You got it with you today? This is coonskin cap day.
Did you know that? Did you get that memo?
Morning.
He's got a jester hat though he could wear, but I don't know where it is.
Oh.
He went. Grandma bought us a farming vehicle, of sorts.
Oh yeah. Did you get that? Did they deliver it?
Yeah, we have it.
Oh, good.
And so yesterday he and I spent, and Caitlin spent quite a little bit of time wandering the country.
Oh, well, cool.
You had a good time, didn't you?
Did you like riding in the four-wheeler? Whatever it's called out there?
Well, it's a side-by-side.
Yeah.
It's a big one. It's got a heater and a cab and everything. So.
Oh, my goodness. It got
the really cool part of it is it's got a plow on the front of it.
Yeah, you told me it was going to have a plow. I wasn't sure if it'd be dragging or pushing.
And I was, it's pushing. And I was, we don't have much snow, but I was plowing snow just because.
Looks like you can. Well, you got to get that first bit under control so the next bit's okay.
I just had to do some training.
Good morning, Cherie.
And then Samuel went and bought him a new pickup truck yesterday.
Oh, he did? I thought he just got a new pickup truck.
Well, they've decided that they've been married 6 years and they've gone through 7 vehicles.
Oh, gosh.
He was coming home from Lander, Wyoming, over on the east side, clear over on the other side, on the Popo Aggie, clear on the other side of the divide. And he was coming up Red Canyon, and tranny went out in his little Subaru.
Oh, really?
Yep, could just quit him completely, and so he got it pushed to a wide spot where he could look at elk and called the tow truck driver. And there's one tow truck driver in Lander, Wyoming, and the guy was clear up in Thermopolis to the north, a couple hours north of Thermopolis, pulling another vehicle. So he just left the keys sitting in the seat. A guy from Rock Springs picked him up and took him home.
That's I've heard that's expensive to get that fixed too.
Yeah, and the car's not worth that much, so he's selling it. He's selling it for not very much money, and they'll part it out there on the wind on the res.
Oh, yeah, he can probably make probably make a lot more money that way.
So what? You're Buzzy Bear today. What's up?
I am. You want
talking about bees?
You want to know why I'm? But no, we've talked about bees. Here's
I know
here's
we've
why I'm
talked.
Buzzy Bear today.
Yeah.
Well, you're always that way. I had a big head full till a couple of days ago, and
I've been this way most of my life.
I'm not buzzed down that. Yeah, but I know underneath there you got curly hair. I've seen it.
I got some. I
Buffalo hair.
used to have black old buffalo looking locks.
I just thought today, since my head was colder, I would wear the Sean hat.
the coonskin cap.
It will keep your head warm, but you know what? I can't figure out something. That feels really crooked, so I don't know if my head's crooked or if the nose is crooked on the hat. Maybe it's made to look sideways.
I think that's just artistic license on the part of the builder.
Artistic license. I think you're probably right. I should probably just let that ride.
And I just realized that I haven't had one drink of coffee this morning. I need some.
What in the hell's wrong with you?
Something.
Besides,
good morning, all. Okay, I'm gonna go grab a cup of coffee.
You go get coffee. Yeah, something on my knife. What did I cut with that? I bet I cut a ham and cheese sandwich with that yesterday. That's right, Brenda. That's what they say about, some people say about their rugs. There always has to be something wrong with it. So, Cherie, are you at work on break or are you home this morning? Oh, man, I'm going to have to
Who dislikes Native American beadwork?
Who said that?
Your wife.
I bet that's autocorrect. I bet she says I bet Brenda, correct that or tell us why you said you dislike Native American beadwork. I think she was probably saying just like Native American beadwork and it came out dislike.
Oh, yeah, that would make more sense because I know she does find Native American beadwork.
Yeah. She's sitting, I guarantee you she's sitting up here talking into her phone, not typing. Because I know that's what she does. And I don't know if you've realized it or not, but Tina's Chuck is on here today, and he's on here with his own name and everything. She set him up so
Good morning, Chuck.
He can get involved in the conversations.
He's the one. I was insulted him about putting your eye out. Totally unintentional.
Yeah. So did you have a house full of company last night or just yesterday?
No, they're here.
They're all here?
They're here wandering about. Boone was sitting in my lap.
Well, I knew, but I didn't know if you were just keeping Boone or if Sammy was there. Or...
No, they came to go buy a fancy new white pickup truck.
Oh, okay.
And it was a used truck. That was the cheapest pickup they could find, full size pickup right here in Kimmer, Wyoming. And they and Sam, I mean, of course, everybody in Kimmer knows everybody, and
Of course.
Sam, the gentleman that, and it's kind of a cool story. The gentleman, is it Jeff Nishi?
Yeah.
So the gentleman that owned the truck that sold it, his name is Jeff Nishi. He's a Japanese American man.
Oh,
And
okay.
his people, he's Sam's age, so he's not old enough, but there were 3 Japanese families that lived in Kemmer during World War II. And all 3 of the families got to go spend a little bit of time up to the Heart Mountain. And unlike the state of California, the people of Kemmer, Wyoming, took care of their properties the entire time they were interned, and they were waiting on them when they got home. They didn't take them and like, oh, that's going to be ours now, like they did all the farms in California.
Yeah, difference in community.
They so when the Nishis and the Tanakas, I can't think of the third name, when they got home to Kimmer, all their stuff was there and their buildings were fine and they had water on and electricity and
wow,
everything had been kept up while they had to spend their stint in Heart Mountain.
We have a new guest. Maple Bacon has joined us. And I don't know why, but I have this funny feeling that we know him from somewhere. or her, but I'm thinking it's a he because I think the her is already in here. Am I right, Diana, or am I missing something here? Maple Bacon. I'm the protractor of all set. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's Mark. Hang on, just Mark or Maple Bacon. Tell Mark about that. Tell Mark that story while I fix my chair.
The protector of 7-Eleven.
Yeah, wait till you hear the story. It's a real story. If he'll tell you about it. He told us Thursday.
Well, I can't. I didn't hear it.
No, you need to hear it.
No problem. You know where this way for?
I'm not here, but I got to.
Boudreaux Campbell.
Uh-oh.
Are you being aggravating?
Surely not.
Hey, come here, buddy. Oh no, I don't want. Don't pick me up. Come here, buddy. You don't want to be picked up, do you? You're getting kind of big for that anyway. And there's Crockett.
Crockett's there.
Come here, buddy. You guys are not being helpful.
They're saying we're grown up now, Grandpa.
You can't get up. You can't get in my lap. There he is.
Wow, he has grown up. My goodness.
His legs are only this tall, but he's like a full-size dog.
Good morning, Maple Bacon. I thought I'd already said good morning to you.
I know the donut.
So if you're not going to tell the story, I'm going to tell it. But I'd like to give you a chance because you know the story better.
Well, turn the picture back on.
Oh, sorry.
Like Bassett's. That's right, Tina. Just like Bassett's. Full-size dogs with little stumpy legs.
Short legs.
That's the way Boudreaux is too. He's become a full-size dog with little short legs. But he's about He lords it over him. He's about an inch taller than Crockett.
He lords it over him.
So he uses that to his advantage.
I saw.
They've been having quite the visit this trip.
Yeah, I bet. So Maple Bacon's telling this story if you hadn't
We
seen it.
went to the 7-Eleven on Christmas Eve to buy milk and tinfoil.
Yeah.
Can you buy tinfoil at a 7-Eleven?
And there was these three individuals.
Oh, I hope you took them down. Like downtown Lester Brown.
Hey, buddy.
On Christmas Eve.
Yeah, this was Christmas Eve.
They're robbing the 7-Eleven.
And harassing the two young ladies that work behind the counter there, I believe. Brenda, he's giving the story.
So this story, I was not going to stand for this. I'm liking this story.
I don't know if you realize it or not, but our friend Mike's a pretty good sized fella. Oh, Mike, damn it. I just realized I forgot to call you guys yesterday. Sorry about that. I remembered it at 3 and then I got busy.
I'm sure Samuel would love the fact that Mike is now Maple Bacon on.
Now this isn't Mike. This is a new guy. Did you see up there what Carol said? She said, "Hello, mysterious new visitor, Maple Bacon."
With the donut.
with the donut.
And a bite taken out of it.
So I don't know if he stopped there or not. I'm gonna give you a minute to make sure, because
my grandson just reminded me that I had fire on the table.
Oh, I see.
My bison skull is burning bright this morning. Woo! I just poured hot wax all over my hand.
That feels good.
That was fun right there.
So at least you didn't remember at 2 o'clock a.m. I don't know what she's remembering. So, okay, Maple Bacon, are you going to finish? You want me to finish? Or are you just dragging this out for effect?
Can you see that?
Yeah, I can. It's a sunrise or set.
Rise this morning.
Oh.
Ain't that pretty?
Yeah, it is. Oh, Diana says he's still typing. Okay. Just so we know. Oh, no, I already put that up there.
Holy crap.
What was that?
Well, I just about went back to the Vietnam.
No. You've never been in the Vietnam.
That was I absorbed it all, believe me.
You're probably getting ready to duck because your dad.
I just about hit the floor right there, buddy.
That
was like the day that I was sitting at my desk at work, and I had a radio caller sitting on my desk that a guy he'd shot a cow elk, and instead of taking the radio collar apart, he just cut it off its neck and then brought it to the office. So I couldn't redeploy it. But they have a timed charge in them that blows the collar apart so that you can collect the data. And it was sitting there on my desk, and I was just typing away, and all of a sudden that charge went off right on my desk, right by my computer screen, with the smell of cordite. And I was literally on the floor under my desk, and all my like office mates around me came running down. And they're like, "Where'd you go, Mark? Where'd you go?" And I'm like, "I'm under my dang desk." I thought somebody just reached a pistol in the room and took a shot at me.
Tina, that sounds like that would feel good, I must say. Okay, here's some more of the story. Remember when we last were with my hero? What are you laughing about?
I'm laughing at Mike's story.
Oh, okay.
I locked the door and told them if they didn't stop, their pictures would be on every milk carton.
And they wouldn't
be on this side of the earth very much longer.
and I think they quit.
Something about daisies, I'm betting.
Buddy started giving it back to me, so I helped him out the door.
I helped him out the door. Well, good for you.
Mike has experience in helping people out the door, I think. I just don't think I'd mess with Mike. I don't.
He has experience helping folks out the door.
I think he does. I think one of his many jobs might have been bouncer in earlier life or something. I helped him out the door. I love it, Mike. I love it. I don't really like when people start yelling racist comments at innocent people. Yeah, me either. That's when I'd probably hit them with my cane.
Right in the kitchen. Don't forget it.
The U-cane.
You cane.
I'll just take it.
Dun-dun-dun.
Yeah, my U-cane.
Your U-cane.
Yeah, my U-cane. This one. It's definitely become my favorite walking stick.
That's a tonk there, man.
Yeah, it is.
That thing's got that. It looks like a war axe at the top.
I think you can hit somebody hard with that and hurt, and you can hook it in there, and you can come up.
If only it had a sword inside it.
Yeah, that's the only thing it's lacking, but that's okay. But I think it would. You could hook that in the right places and pull real hard.
And make people do what you wanted them to do.
Yeah, lead them pretty much wherever you want to take them, and they'd probably do what you said to do, kind of like, helping them out the door like Maple Bacon did.
It feels like I feel like a preacher. I love that.
I didn't see the preacher part.
I love that story.
When they say, hello to me with big smiles, they're speaking in their own language to their co-workers. Tell them who you am. Mike, you are a hero, buddy. I mean that sincerely. And if nobody else tells you that, then by God, you always will be in here. I might hire you to come down here and, throw some people, help people through the door down here a little bit. Maple Bacon, our hero. That's exactly right. You got snow last night. How much did you get? Hey, Mark's got a new machine to move snow. You want him to? We'll see if we can get him to come up there and help you plow your driveway. And Tina got snow too. I think Mark got snow. Oh, you got a whole inch. That's kind of sad for you guys, isn't it? I mean, to me, that'd be kind of sad. I know you probably don't want to hear this. I'm sure Diana doesn't. But I really hope you guys get some more snow. I hate the thought of, Canada turning into East Tennessee and not getting snow anymore. Yep, it is kind of sad. The farmers are going to pay for it this spring when we get a little. Yeah, you guys have to have moisture too, huh? Mark.
I decided we were going to be all right this year without moisture.
Well, you should be caught up a little bit with all the snow last year. I like your new name, buddy. I really do. I'd stick with it.
Yep.
But I'm partial to both those things, so just bear in mind that if we run into each other, I might lick you behind the ear just to see. He is in Manitoba, Tina. And that's all I'll say. I was looking at buying a mini donut machine. Oh, you were? Open up your own business on the side to do in the summer. Oh, cool. Poof, no Mark. Mark's back. Did you lose Mark, Brenda? Are you here, Mark? I hear you.
Did I disappear? Can you hear me?
You may have to Brenda. I don't know, but it's probably not on your.
Well, I got up and left for a minute, but I'm back.
Uh-oh, what'd you see, babe? You need to go. Oh, it's raining. I just now noticed that. We're getting our moisture right now. Mike says Maple Bacon says he's pretty sure the 7-Eleven parking lot will let me set up there. Oh, I bet they will. You could probably do one of those hot dog machines out front too, although they probably sell those. Center of Canada. Walter has growing pains. Does he? Yeah, Walter's up to about 70 pounds, Mark. I don't know if you were in on that conversation or not.
Well, how old is he?
Or maybe he's 7 months. I think he's about 7 months, but I think he's also about 70 pounds. I swear I thought somebody told me that. I bet Tina can verify.
I would hope he was like 90 by now.
7 months and over 70 pounds.
Over 70, yeah.
And he's got growing pains. What's causing his growing? I just wonder if there's more to that growing pain story, but maybe not. Yeah, you guys will have to probably put him on, like, what is that stuff? Well, you feed your dogs, aren't your dogs on some kind of joint therapy?
Glucosamine.
Yeah, glucosamine.
They
I couldn't think of the word.
They take Remedil. And I say we have one dog that she has to have a Remedil once a day or twice a day if it's really a hard day.
It would probably be Zoe.
That's old Zoe, yeah. But she's
like
old. I mean,
yeah. I like Zoe. Of course, Zizi like me. Yeah, Zizi was my buddy out there. Every time I sat down on the couch, her head was in my lap.
It's coming for her.
Look at this. What's coming for her?
Well, she's
Oh,
getting old. She's getting older too.
3 deaths. Walter has to go to the big dog part of the dog park where they can run and do their business and all that.
So they separate them out so that the little dogs don't get beat up by the big dogs.
Kinda, yeah, but there was no big dogs to play with, so Walter just climbed the fence and went over and played with the little dogs. Which
And
I
he'll
thought
keep,
was funny.
Mike said he'll keep growing until he's 18 months old. So
Oh, well, he's got a little ways to go yet. Then I know about how big he is.
What do you gotta say?
excuse me.
Was a big coonhound. He's a hound, but he's part bloodhound. I don't know what the other part is. It might be coonhound. He's not a purebred bloodhound, I don't think.
Well, I think she was talking about Danny.
Oh, Danny. Oh, Danny, yes. And he's 70 pounds now, so full growed.
She thought he was a big coonhound. But yeah, bloodhounds get bigger than coonhounds.
Yeah, I know he'll get over 100 pounds. I'm not sure how much over. He might get up towards 150.
I don't think he'll make that, but he might. Excuse me. My goodness.
How big can
We
blood?
have a
110 is about as big as they ever get. But that'll be pretty good size.
hey, won't you come over here and calm down, buddy?
You want a biscuit? Do you want some biscuit? Here, sit in this nice chair. Drink some milk.
Uh-oh.
No, he wants to go outside, dang it. Daddy's getting ready to go
You want some biscuit?
vaccinate a bunch of cows.
Oh,
And he don't get to go on that trip, so
but I bet he wants to, doesn't he?
he's all dressed up with no place to go.
Yeah, I'm gonna put my screen up so I can get started here in a minute.
He's getting ready to go on a wander to a whole different part of the world. You're going to go to Kimmer, aren't you, buddy? Go see your cousins.
Well, that'll be fun. You and the other boys can get, or the other boy can get in all kinds of trouble.
Yep. He and Owen can get in all kind of mischief.
Yeah, Owen. couldn't think. And I was thinking, oh, there's 2 boys there, but no, there's not 2 boys there. Boone is the second boy. We're going to talk about, since Brenda and I are on the.
That's an odd little deal.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute, but isn't that unique?
Well, it looks like something that you would have landed on a foreign planet with pod people or something. I don't know.
Well, that could be. It looks kind of space agey. John just walked in.
John, Rocky Raccoon.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Come here, Rocky Raccoon. Have you seen him today? Did you see Tim?
Yeah.
Are you talking to your wife or your daughter? Or
I'm
who?
talking to my grandson,
Oh,
who's not near old enough to do complete sentences, but by golly, he does.
how are things in New Jersey, John? Did you get rain or snow today? I think you guys were supposed to get a little bit of snow, weren't you? I thought I saw that in the weather, but that was yesterday, so it's subject to change.
It's been flurrying here all morning. It's kind of quit now. But it's sure black to the west. It sure looks like it could do something.
Bacon and donuts have that effect, John. What John say? Oh, maple bacon, you're making me hungry. John, I told him that I might, if we met today, I might lick him behind the ear just to see, because bacon and maple are two of my favorite things.
Mike needs to figure out how you would say that in Cree.
What, maple bacon?
Yeah, because that's where he's at. He's in Cree country.
Yeah, that'd be good. I bet he could too.
It'll be about that long.
In multiple words, I bet.
Boone, do you want any more alcohol?
3 inches of rain, 40 and 50 mile per hour winds. Wow.
Do you want to
Holy
divide it up
buckets,
or-
that's a lot of rain.
Yeah, maybe feed it to him.
That's a quarter of my annual precip if it's a really wet year.
Okay.
And that's almost half in a normal year.
Somewhere they were flooded this past week. I heard they got 6 inches or 9 inches or something like that in a very short period, and everything was flooded.
Are you being serious, Mike?
I'll find out how to say it and spell it. I was thinking about taking Cree. Well, good for you. Good for you, mate.
So we'll start out with the River of the Giants. Your first word is going to be the River of the Giants. And that's Amio Sipi Mustapio Gayatsik.
You get that? Write that down, mate, Bacon. Oh, he said he's serious. It's been on his mind lately.
And then the Crees called the Inuits the Gagimo Sabitsik, which meant the eaters of human flesh.
Oh my!
Back when they used to war against each other. Hi, pal. Hi.
Hey, Boone.
There's Rocky Raccoon. Say hi, Rocky.
Hi, Rocky.
Hi, Rocky Raccoon.
Hi there. Hi, Boone.
I just kicked my boots off. You're supposed to be getting ready to go outside, I think. Now you can't do it.
So anyway, I'm gonna start talking over, and we'll keep talking about Boone and other things too. But
Oh, he's gone. He's gone.
I've added cool effects to my slideshow. See that? You see that? How special?
No, go back. I missed it.
Watch.
Oh, look at that. It folds right out of the way.
Or folds right back up, just like that.
That's pretty cool.
And that's anti-gravity right there, buddy.
We just don't. It don't take much to amuse me.
Well, I'm sitting there laughing like an idiot, so it doesn't me either. Oh, Maple Bacon says he deals with a lot of First Nations that speak Cree. Oh, okay. It would be really helpful.
Oh yeah,
That would be nice, Mike. I could.
and it's a really cool language. It's really I love the sound of it.
Thank you, Carol. I'm not sure, but I somehow feel like there's a giggle or a laugh back on the other side of that.
Special. Ooh, ah.
Anyway.
No, look at it go.
So I was going to talk about, the way people have lived in, and some of these things I've shown before because we've talked about a few of them when talking about native peoples from other lands. And I thought I'd start here. So this is like what the Viking type dwelling might have been, something like this one on top, sod roof, and where they just let the grasses grow and lock everything in, and then they'd use stone for the walls, or maybe something else, that's depending on what they had. Of course, but they had a lot of rock up there, so it was handy
Was that on Skye?
on Sky.
The island of Skye.
I'm not sure if it said or not.
I guess I can leave at 11:30.
Oh, it might be in the Orkneys.
That sounds right. And the one
I
over
think
there,
I've seen this house on like Discovery Channel or something.
oh, I don't doubt that. These on the right here, this bigger, larger picture is where Pick was a Pick village.
Brenda thinks you're looking for a cave.
Do what? Oh. Well, that's a thought, Brendan. Now that you brought it up, I was going to add that to my list, and I didn't get around to getting one.
People lived in rock shelters for thousands of years.
Long, long time. That's right. Diana says, personally, I'd rather learn Hawaiian, so when I win the lotto and move there, I'll be more like a local. That's forward thinking there, Diana. And then Mike won't need to know Cree unless you're not taking him with you.
What are you doing, buddy?
So anyway, and the bottom left is an example of what they call the Scottish Black House. And I think when I talk about this a minute, it'll make sense why. I think I've got another picture of a black house, but that's actually part of a museum that they've restored that particular group down in the bottom. But the Picts, this is what's left of the Pict settlement or whatever. And that's in northern Scotland. I can't remember what island that's on, but it did say, and I forgot to put it in there. Boink. So this is another picture of a Scottish black house. Now these weren't very mobile. I just want to point that out real quick. And you and you can tell because there's no wheels already on it. Or no travois poles underneath it.
Did they have that steel mesh tied over it normal?
I doubt it. Actually, I don't know if that's steel mesh or something like a fishing net.
Oh, it might be something to hold the sod down.
Yeah. But it could be that stuff that they spray and then grass grows on it. Or, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
And they do. I can't remember what they call that process, but grass. We'll just say grass spraying.
Yeah, we're going to go see cousins.
But anyway, the Scottish Black House was a traditional type of house. It'd be fairly common. This was actually in Ireland, mostly in Scotland, but there were versions in Ireland, the Hebrides, and the Scottish Highlands. The original name Black House is in some debate, but on the Isle of Lewis, for example, in particular,
We need the dogs.
it seems to have been used to distinguish the older black houses from some of the newer white houses with their, I don't know what it is, rendered stone walls.
Maybe they're just
There may also be some confusion arising from the phonetic similarity between the words. The other thing I read was that these black houses were kind of like some of the, no, I don't know if that's true. What I was going to say was wrong, I think. They didn't have a chimney. They didn't have an outlet for smoke in the top. And the smoke basically found its own way out because they would have fires inside this thing, probably peat fires, which are smoky and stinky. And they say it just kind of oozed out around the rocks and through the dirt on the roof, which over time turned it all kind of sooty black, which makes sense. And so some people think that's why they're called black houses. Some people don't think that has anything to do with it. Makes sense to me, though.
What a miserable way! Imagine living in the teepee with the smoke flaps closed all the time.
I bet a lot of those folks died of lung disease, is what I bet. Some variation. Hey, buddy, what are you coming for?
God, that's awful. That just sounds awful. Living like that.
You want to see what that is? I wish you could make my pain go away. Are you any good at that? You got any magic? What? Oh. Magic for treat sticks. I'll have to wait till later then. So anyway,
There you go, John. No, notice the team.
are they still playing? There's a couple of those schools up there that are in the final playoff for their division or something. They're still playing.
No, not the rodeo teams.
Okay. Maple Bacon wants to know if you like. He likes bacon sometimes. He doesn't like it too well done though. He's kind of picky.
They don't have like a regular kind of season. They run more kind of year round. But
so
I was going to say, if you're talking football, they're done.
Well, I saw there's a couple of teams, and either one of the Dakotas or one of the Montana teams has actually got another game to play for their final championship. It's kind of like the big guys are playing this weekend, but it's at that school's level because they still do playoffs and stuff.
Well, Wyoming won their bowl game 16-15.
Yeah, but a win's a win.
Win's a win, and that was the coach's final game. So,
oh, that's right. I heard about that.
It was a good send off for him.
Says Teddy can get anything he wants if he wants to eat it, but he's very picky. Yeah, he is. He is picky.
No,
Are they still playing, John?
That's who Wyoming beat.
Oh, okay. So this other house over here is another version of a black house, and the reason I put that on there is it's got a thatched roof, but the walls are sort of what they call over here. They were called that a wattle and daub, and you can see you can look, you can see this one over here is stone. So these could be stone and just daubed on the outside to keep the wind out. But these could be built around, they make like a wood frame out of sticks and trees and stuff. And then they pack it full of mud and it dries into a wall. And Native Americans did that over here in some places. I think I've got an example of that here in a minute. And this is that museum I was talking about. And looking at this picture, I guess they lived in these kind of houses for quite a long time because this one's got furniture in it. There's the fireplace right in the middle of the floor. And a crane hanging down or a chain hanging down to heat stuff. But, that's obviously furniture that wasn't built on a longboat. I guarantee you they didn't haul that from Norway. But this is part of that museum I was talking about a minute ago, and this is inside that. And these buildings, I believe, are on the same property, and I'm not sure. I think you can rent these out. They're like cabins, but I'm not positive. But I think that's what it said. So, and then you come over here, and we had early Native Americans living in communal apartment buildings, kind of like we do today. A little different, but similar. And I thought this is that lower left. God damn it. I'm going to stand up, so I'm going to talk, but turn my camera off a minute. That lower house or hut looks like it could come off the plains of Africa, but that's actually a Cherokee, an early Cherokee house that was called that. And that's the wattle and daub. It's got a woven stick frame in there, and they pack it full of mud and let it dry. And then it has some form of a thatched roof on it. reason I put these other two pictures in there, I thought it was kind of interesting that there were native tribes that lived in this country because they fought amongst each other so much they built forts. And so I'm guessing that's kind of where Europeans got the same idea when they moved in. And I think I've got one more. And these were examples or drawings of some of the native villages that were enclosed by a stockade for their own protection.
Those look like Iroquois towns.
They do. That's what I was thinking.
Early Iroquois towns, at least.
And Iroquois longhouses from what they got drawn in there.
Yeah.
And this is a little bit different one down here, but look at the wall on this one's made. It's hard to tell if that's sod or what they've packed into the fence or between the stakes. But again, that's to stop, arrows or bullets or whatever. And but they're living. I don't know what this little enclosure on this top part is. But this is an example of a bark wigwam or hut on the top, and I'm pretty sure this is an Iroquois longhouse. It could be a Cherokee. Hey, Daddy, I didn't turn my camera off, did I? Here I am making faces and looking right in the camera. Let go, buddy. I love you too, but you gotta let go. Come on, let go of my shirt. Thank you. Anyway, and there's a longhouse. I think that one's the Cherokee. And this is when I was talking about the wattle and daub. They would make frames kind of like this and then pack them full of mud. And when the mud dried, they had a better house. And that bottom one is that same. That bottom one is that same Iroquois picture I showed earlier. I thought that was a different one, but it's not. After I've looked at them for a little while, I get confused sometimes. Can't imagine that, I know, but it happens even to the best of us. Boink. And that's a bigger wattle and daub. And this is kind of an example of a longhouse down here. Usually longhouses, if they lived in longhouses, there's either multiple family units or their extended family lived all under one roof. But notice that the ancestors on this continent had enough sense to poke a hole in the top to at least let some of the smoke out, which I thought was, interesting. Why in the hell would pardon my language, but why in the hell would anybody build a house and enclose it and then suffocate on the smoke? That's just stupid.
Doesn't make no sense.
It doesn't to me either. But to me, that explains why they called them black houses. All right, where am I?
So the insides of their lungs look just like the inside of their houses.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And of course, we've got, people did and still do stay and camp, and some people live in some version of a teepee, and that bottom one is the type that had a sunken. That's a real thing. Obviously that's a glamping setup, but there were teepees that had a sunken floor, so that's kind of interesting too.
But that whole view of that just rubs me the wrong way.
I know, but still, at least it is a teepee. Oh wow! I just noticed something. That must be huge. Look. Oh,
yeah,
no.
it's probably like a 28 or 30 footer.
Well, I thought I saw a ladder in the front going up the wall, but that's probably lacing pins or something.
That's just lacing pins.
Yeah, I had to think about that.
But that sucker's enormous.
It is enormous. And it may be blown out of proportion by a wide angle lens too. But anyway, you guys already knew I like teepees. And here's just some more examples of modern day teepees. I'm going to guess that top one's a powwow. since there's so many, and I don't see any other tent type structures as opposed to a rendezvous where there'd probably be a few other things in there. And of course, this bottom one is more of a modern setup, but at least it ain't all glamped out. But they do have a big heater in it. And I'll tell you something, a teepee with a heater like this, a stove like this in it with a pipe that runs out the smoke pole will keep you nice and toasty for, all day long.
Well, we used to put the little portable wood stove in ours, and it's handy.
And you and I've camped in a wall tent, and you had that stove, a different version of that stove or whatever, and we slept nice and toasty when it wasn't all creosote up. And
you gotta, like, whoever gets fire tender, they get one thin blanket to sleep in.
I bet you guys get that.
That makes sure you. I've slept in a lot of wall tents with a lot of wood stoves for a long time, and your fire tender gets a little thin blanket, and that makes sure that the fire keeps going.
That makes sure it don't go out in the night. Oh, we've told stories about that happening to us on camping trips.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
And these are Mandan representations.
Earth lodges.
Earth lodges, and then this is what they think they look like inside. And again, they had a big hole in the roof.
Well, I don't know if that's a Bodmer painting or a Catlin painting, but that's the real deal. They painted that in life.
Whoa, don't do that to me. Go back down. What did I do?
I don't know. You went the wrong way.
When I mess with technology, Carol.
I think that's a Carl Bodmer painting there at the bottom, and he painted that
in situ.
That's what it looked like because he was there painting it.
Look how skinny that dog is. It probably wouldn't even be fit to eat. It don't have a lot of meat on its bones. Carol, I agree. She said that people built so much without modern technology, and what's amazing to me about that statement is they built things that people today are still trying to figure out how they did it, like the pyramids. I mean, they've never truly satisfied, I don't think, how they moved those huge stones to the top of pyramids, and to my satisfaction, at least, I don't know. They've come up. I've seen several ideas, and the big long ramps to the top of the pyramids to me don't make much sense. It would take longer to do that than it would to be to float the stones. But I saw an extras. I saw an example recently. And well, I've seen it a couple times. It was on the news one day. But the giant stone figures that are on Easter Island, the Moas or Moakas or something they call them. Some of them are 10, 12, 14 feet tall, and they're huge, and they weigh tons and tons. And they showed how their legends and stories, history talks about the walking of the statues into place, or they would walk there, and what they did was they tied ropes around the top, and then they would get a bunch of people on like 4 ropes, and they would start rocking it back and forth, and not letting it tip over too far, and it would start to rock just like I've walked refrigerators or furniture that way many times. Yes, the statues that are on Easter Island. Back then, they had to make the tools before they built anything. That's a good point too, Kay, because they couldn't do it till they figured out how to tool it. Let's talk about how they moved the giant rocks like at Easter Island. Anyway, we were talking about old technology. And then there's these, and these are modern versions too, but I was kind of wanting to compare then and now, but very similar to these, different materials, of course, is what the, I don't know who all used yurts, but I know mostly they were in Siberia, not Siberia, but the
Mongolia.
Mongolian plains is what I was trying to think of, where they used these. And I'm going to step out on a limb and suggest that these were probably about as portable as a teepee was, just in different ways. I don't know. I can't. They probably had sleds or something to move them around on. I'm not sure, since they were in snow about half the time. Hey, Dean the Turkey Legster. Well, guess what, Dean? It's a rainy Tennessee right now too. So then I moved on to some more modern options for living. Can you hear that thing hit the ground? That wall when it falls. Here's a popular way that people have been doing this for a long time, and this again can carry back to days of yore because, well, I've got pictures of sheep herders in Wyoming who live in caravans, small wagons that go back to their ancestors in the old country. Not the same ones, obviously, but similar. And so this is new. This is something that's come along, and it's always been there. I've known people that lived in old school buses years ago, but most of them are a lot fancier now. And this got really popular during the COVID. This whole nomad society thing just, hey, what? You have something to say? Yes, and there are some people that travel in buses with cats. That's right. But the lower left picture kind of shows the process, and there's a dog looking out the window. You strip the bus down, and then you start building it back up. And I'll tell you, some of these bus conversions into mobile homes or to traveling homes are pretty damn spectacular. I really like that double bus on top there because if it wasn't for the steering wheel being on the wrong side, that'd be great. You could put bedrooms on top and everything else in the bottom. But I don't think Brenda's going to let me live in a school bus. She might, but hey, Maple Bacon, there's your stupid truck and mobile home all in one. Hey, Mike, she might be on to something there, buddy. And these are just a couple of, all right, which way? That way. There's a couple more examples of the schoolies, and that's what they call them now, schoolies, the school bus conversions. And this one's got the kitchen up front over here, and up here you got bedroom in the back. That seems to be the most commonplace. If you bought one of these, and I think I'd want a rear engine Bluebird school bus, then you can a diesel. So, well, I think a diesel. I don't know. I can't decide if diesel will be good or not anymore since it's so much more expensive now than regular gas. But anyway, usually you get better gas mileage with diesel. And then we got the new whole thing about tiny houses, and not all, but most tiny houses can be moved. And this is an example of a couple that can be moved wherever you needed them. Or in the case of the wooden one at the bottom, I suspect that's wherever the sun was setting. You could put it and park it and live on BLM land for a couple of weeks and watch the sunset. And the top ones are mobile to be moved in places where they might need them or for campgrounds or something like that. Actually, I think the top two are container houses, which I have some more stuff on container houses because container houses also interest me. I think they're kind of neat, the whole idea. And one I didn't find, I just remembered it, dang it. There's another one I always thought was cool and I'd like to have. This is an
A
example.
Quonset hut.
Haven't got to that yet, but I will.
Oh,
No, I was thinking of an airplane fuselage. I've seen people buy scrapped airplane. They knock the wings off, let them keep the wings or sell the wings for scrap aluminum. And they take the fuselage and strip it down and mount it like on poles or something. And a lot of times they like to have the nose sticking out over the ridge or off the hill, and they turn that into a not a mobile home, a home. And it's the fuselage of the airplane. And I always thought that'd be cool as hell to live in a big airplane.
what is that? A grain man? What the heck is that?
Well, these are houses built on a design, I suppose. These are all 3D printed. That's what I was going to say. These are made with this machine or machines like this that actually spray this stuff on layer and layer and layer. And they've got more sophisticated than this. They've got them now that do a square, make a square trail of concrete. Basically, they're concrete made by computer. And the square ones look more like blocks or bricks. I don't know what they call the top ones exactly, but there's going to be somebody's going to be able to live in that. You got a main compartment, probably a bathroom or bedroom back in that back one back there, the small one, and that's some kind of new version of a house, a dwelling. And the bottom, of course, is square. The one on the right, the big white one, that really looks like a grain elevator or something, is in Dubai, of course, because I got more money than God and can spend it on anything. Is the largest 3D building ever so far that has been built. And like I said, they're made by giant 3D printers, just like you can have in your house.
What was the planet that Luke Skywalker grew up on? Tatooine.
Tatooine, yeah.
That's what that looks like right there.
Yeah. Maple Bacon said he's okay with the tiny home, but I want a big garage. Me too, Mike. I have to have two big things. I have to have a big garage and a big library, and then the tiny home I can do. As long as I got a bathroom, a TV, and a bed. Brenda says she has to admit, Tim, wait a minute. Oh, Tim has to have a garage too. Yes, I want a garage. And Brenda's made a statement, a pretty damn bold statement for a one-eyed fat girl. She says, I'm going to declutter this house and declutter my closet before we move. What she's saying there is she's going to declutter me. She thinks. Where's that come from? That's big talk for a one-eyed fat man.
That's true grit.
That's true grit. That's right. What does the donuts like?
Of course.
What does donuts like to do big garages? There's something wrong there. Kay says in Gatlinburg they used to have a house made of fiberglass. It looked like a bunch of igloos. Oh, I think I remember that, Kay. I think I've seen that. Oh, Brenda's talking about storing all my stupid stuff. That's quite all right. Maple Donut and I can take it. We're big men. We can take. You want to call our trucks and cars and stuff stupid? That's fine. And these are another version of 3D built houses. This is a community. I don't know what these. I don't know if that's Arizona. I think these top two are in Arizona, but I'm not positive.
Looks like wood.
It does. Well, this part of it is wood. The top is wood, but the basic house, square body, those are those square bricks I was talking about are blocks from a 3D printer. You just put a different nozzle on it, kind of like having one of those. I think the girls had a Play-Doh thing you could build houses and stuff with like that. And here we get into the whole idea of living in a container building house. And I don't know how it is now, but when they first started thinking about this, um, containers were pretty cheap, and you could build them and stack them on top of each other. They've done some really amazing, creative things with these container boxes to turn them into living quarters. Stuff is fine, but if you don't use it or do anything with it, it's useless. Okay, Diane, I'm timing you out. You're going to get timed out of chat for the next 30 minutes or 30 seconds or something. You can't say stuff like that in here. I will not forget that. You sound like somebody else I know. That kind of talk will not be tolerated. That's what us donut guys like to have as big garages. I got it, Mike. I see it now. And Chuck says he resembles that remark. He can identify as one-eyed Batman. I'm sorry. Well, it was a quote from True Grit. That's where I got that, John or Chuck. So I hope you can take that with the pride that it was issued with. So I got to go the other way. I've got some other examples of that. I think this top one appears really cool because the way they cantilevered it out over the picnic area. And this bottom one are just small ones, and they've been modified and turned into and they may not have. Some of these may not be cut up boxes or containers, but they do this with containers. And containers are not all the same. You can get wider ones and longer ones and shorter ones. It just depends. You can shop around a little bit on them. Depends on who's using them. And you can buy them brand new if you don't want one that's got something dirty on the inside. There's some for Brenda that are purple and a campground set up where they're renting these out as cabins. And this is an example of how they're using them in urban settings, turning them into multi-level houses that fit. That thing's fit between a wall of a house and probably the sidewalk. And it's probably a strip of grass. And that's all the room they had left. And they built a container house on it because it was wide enough to do that. And here's some more. I think this might be the last picture, but I really think these are cool. Well, I know I had another one. And this one at the lower bottom is actually pretty good size square footage. That top one, I think, is like a Airbnb. And so we come to the lowly Quonset hut.
I was born in one of those.
Were you really? Is that what they had out there?
Yeah, for the hospital.
Oh, Brenda could have been too. I don't know. If it is a lot of cards and everything is cordless, a lot of cords and everything is cordless, now then I say the cords need to go. Carol said, Tim, Brenda may not be able to take you out of chat, but she can march downstairs and take you out. So she thinks, Carol. So she thinks. If you sell all the stuff and put the money away, you can go buy it if you need it. You ladies are just so funny. Come on, help me out, Mike.
Quonset Point at the Dansville Naval Construction Battalion Center.
Yeah, this one, Quonset hut, more or less came into being during World War II. They were copied after some British Nissen huts, which I've seen. I think they were fabric though, more like a tent. And Quonset huts are made of steel. They got steel frames and galvanized steel covers, which I'm going to come back to in a minute. So remember that. And they put them up everywhere. I mean, they were quick. These guys could assemble one of these things probably several a day if they had a couple of good crews, because they bolt together in the way they were using them. And then you can see a couple of different designs here too. The one on top, and I think the one on the lower left may be similar. They're rounded from top to bottom. These down here where the Marines are standing around have vertical sides and in the top. And this one on the left, of course, is barracks. And I may have stayed in one of those. And after World War II, they built thousands of these things. And they had them set up in different places where they needed large groups of men moving in and out of the country and that sort of thing. And so, and I can't say that. Hang on a minute, guys. Tina, if you can help me. I know it's somewhere around Brooklyn, and maybe you don't know that area either. But this was a town, a small area there in New York, which I know you don't live in the city, but you might have been there. Casey, my neighbor took on old barracks and made a home out of it. Was it a Quonset hut type barracks, Kay? We could get an old barracks if it comes with the Marines. You go there. You go, girl, and you go right on in, and then I'll keep my stuff, and you can have your Marines. How about that? Knock him into the next week, and he can't catch me. You think. I can't catch you. You're all right about that, but I can hook you with my cane. You get within reach, and I can get a hold of you, you're in trouble. If I can get this around your ankles or your lower leg, down you will come. And once I get you down on the ground, I can catch you. Anyway, I don't know if that's Canarsie or surely it's not Cannerized, but Canarsie, New York. This was an aerial picture of that. They were setting these up for inexpensive housing for people. And this is a real ad from that time period up at the top. And they're showing, basically how you can have a house in a Quonset hut. And here's an example of one way that this one was assembled somewhere. And then they lifted it with a crane and just setting it down where they want it. And they were doing this in the can't remember if this was in Brooklyn on the shipyards area or not, but but I think it was still being used by the Marines. Now, the one on the lower right is an example of a Quonset hut that's been turned into a battery shop, which I thought was kind of cool. And this is what modern ones look like that are getting turned into houses. Variations of them. These top two, maybe all three of these, I believe are probably U.S. steel buildings because of the way the panels are made. That style looks right. I've been looking at them. Interesting thing about these houses, Quonset hut houses like this are the only thing that's built and able to build in Florida that's hurricane proof. I'll wait till he sits down and say this again. Quonset huts are considered hurricane proof in Florida. They meet all the specs and standards to withstand like 170 mile per hour winds. And the reason for that is, while they may not look it, they're very strong because the shape, the style, and the way they shed wind, but it's also steel with steel frames. Yeah, look it up. I mean, I know you're just asking me really, but I didn't know that either till I started researching this, and I wondered about that. But if you look into it, they're very fire resistant. Again, now what's inside of it would burn, depending on what you had in it. But this structure of the house is fireproof almost. Well, it is fireproof. And it's wind resistant up to like 170 miles an hour, at least if you do it right. I mean, I'm sure you could just, barely tie it to the ground and it wouldn't be, but it's way different than a mobile home in that regard. And they are approved in Florida as hurricane proof. And I believe it said they were the only building. I don't know if it said prefab type building or if it just said building, but they're rated as high or higher than any other house in Florida. I thought that was pretty fascinating. By the way, they were built, Tina says. Oh, they were built reminds me of how the contemporary was. But yeah, Tina. I thought of that. Because if you don't know, the contemporary at Disney World is a concrete hotel, and it was built like the container houses to me, because they built the frame of the building and it was an open frame, and then they built the room somewhere else, and they just lifted the rooms and slid them in like boxes into the framework, and that's how that hotel was built, which I've always thought was just cool as hell. So, and that was back in early 70s, late 60s. 19. Uh-oh. Bonk. And here's just a couple more examples of one in the high plains or the desert. And this one down at the bottom looks to me like it's on a lake somewhere or something. Lots of glass. People like to put glass in them and you can put windows in them, but everybody doesn't want to fool with that with the round shape. So they put glass in the front and the rear. I'd like to have one that's kind of like that one, maybe not that tall. And then the back would be the garage. Have a garage door where you can take your equipment in and out. And then you'd block that 20 feet off and you'd have about 40, 50 feet of house. You'd be in good shape. And here's these plastic things like Mark was talking about from the beginning up front. And these are actually alternative housing units. And I think these came out of Asia, I'm pretty sure. I have seen something very similar to this used in Japan as like hotel rooms that you can rent overnight or whatever and stay in a little mini room like this. And the ones I saw I think they had a shower and everything in them. They might have been a little bigger, but I can't tell how big this one is actually. I love the way the nose pops up though, like an airplane or like a cargo airplane. This upper one's got a windmill for a fan, which I think every house should have. Then we can get rid of those big ugly ones. And looks like the whole top is a solar panel, so that would be cool. You got it good both ways there. And that's an internal picture of the bottom one right there that I just flipped over. And we got some really different alternative methods. This big green salamander looking thing, you see where these bottles are? This is that's called a cob house. And those were originally built with short pieces of firewood, and then with concrete or adobe mixed around them. Now I've seen them built. And these are the last one, what was said.
Just needs a little green skinny guy to walk.
Slimy guy, skinny guy walking out. They use glass bottles for their cob structures in these usually. Adobe buildings in the West have a lot of benefits. They're usually cooler than other types of housing. Now, this bottom one down here, I have heard of people doing this. I think
That's a hay bale house, isn't it?
it's a straw house. Yes, it is. I can't see how you'd ever get insurance on that. I mean, that would be a fire hazard waiting to happen. The guy that's the keeper of the flame would have to
Oh yeah, you'd be in big trouble. And that if you're in the wrong part of the country and it gets wet,
Oh yeah,
it'll catch its own self on fire.
yeah, it will. I don't know how. I've heard of this, but I always thought they put the hay bales in between, like sheets of plywood or something, because not that it still wouldn't burn. If it caught fire, you never put it out till it just finally burned itself out. I don't know. I think there's one of these up at Narrow Ridge because they've got examples of a house like that, not that size and everything.
Mike says he works with a guy that, or used to work with a guy that lives in one.
Oh, really, Mike? Do you know any particulars about that? I don't want to move into one, but Brenda says she saw a straw house being built on TV. Well, that's cool. He lived in it for over 10 years. Oh, he's still living in it. How does he keep it from catching fire, Mike? I mean, obviously, you'd learn to be careful. I think it's kind of cool, but I just wonder how they do that. What do you think, Teddy? Teddy has a comment, but he's not talking.
2-story straw house.
This one is, yeah.
No, the one Mike's talking about is 2 stories.
Oh, well, this one is too in this picture. Kind of like a hayloft, I guess. Literally. He lives off the grid. I bet he does. Okay, and this is something I just threw these in here to end. These top two are both made out of stone. One's modern and one's ancient. This upper one is actually out of, I think, Ireland, and it's obviously a cathedral or a church. And it's all stone. And what I thought was really interesting about that and takes a lot of damn talent is the roof's made out of stone. I don't know if you can see that or not, but the roof is stone just like the bottom is, the walls.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. And then this one on the right is a modern contemporary house, and it's built out of stone. I don't know if the whole roof is stone, but they brought up, this one had a write up about it, and they brought up a very interesting point, and that's that you don't ever have to worry about painting it or anything, which I thought was hell yeah. I like things that you don't have to paint or do a lot of maintenance to. And I've actually lived in a couple of stone houses. I don't know if you ever noticed or remember this, but over around Irwin, Unicoi, in that area where we actually close to where we used to turn up to Dix Creek, and the other side of that, I can't remember the name of it, but you went by some of these. They were made with river rock.
Yeah.
Around because there was plenty of that out of the river back then. But they were built, and they were built very similar to this. These probably took a lot more skill.
We have a lot of stone houses out here, or stone buildings, stone houses out here too. And
well, you showed me one that
I showed you one down there at
Awesome Butte,
Cumberland. There was one down there.
Yeah.
Down by the Buffalo Jump, there's an old stone 2-story house down there.
If they're built right, they're going to be there for a long, long time. Let's see. Maple Bacon is making some statements here. Let's see what he says.
He's a bit of an ass.
Inside, there's still wood inside of it, like a normal construction. The outside walls. Some of the interior walls are straw with a plaster compound on the inside and outside of the walls to hold it together. Okay. And then he says, I don't really talk to him anymore. He's a bit of an ass. Okay. That's what Mark was talking about. And then Mike says, I like the one in the top right-hand corner with the big windows. Yeah, me too. And I don't know if you can see it, but these are actually open up panels. These are like either sliding barn doors on a track or they are on hinges. That one looks like it's hinged. And these may be too, now that I look at them, because that looks like a rod. But I think these slide close like barn doors, and you can close them off. That'd be a heck of a way to get good ventilation through your house. And these bottom two are examples. Actually, they're hobbit houses, I think they're called. But the one on the left has got a combination of like daub and wattle, or wattle and daub, and then stone on one side. And the bottom's got sod roof and plaster house. I know Tina said she grew up in a below grade house. I've always thought that'd be a cool, inefficient or an efficient way to live, to keep them warm and to keep them cool both.
Well, my former assistant division chief lives out in the foothills of the Laramie Range west of Cheyenne in a below grade house, I guess. 3 sides of the house is underground, and he literally mows his roof.
Yeah, that's that's a below grade. You know, it's not completely underground. Usually the front or side or some part
The
of it.
one side of his house, the one that faces south, is open.
Yeah, that's
And
usually
everything else is enclosed. And he has like like, I don't know, like almost like culverts that have windows in them that on the other sides of the house,
Yeah.
so it lets light in. But it's pretty much, and he doesn't have any problem with wind or winter.
I bet he doesn't. Tina says, "Can you imagine reporting? Can you imagine reporting straw construction at the local zoning office? The clerk would call you first little piggy." Depends on where you live, Tina. They're pretty loose with that kind of thing down this way. There's a lot of counties and areas around here that refuse to have zoning laws, so they don't have to deal with that kind of stuff. Carol said hello again, Super Teddy. She calls you Super Teddy. She don't know you, does she? And Miss Diana said something. Couldn't do below grade. Need lots of windows and light. Well, you can build the whole front of it as windows, and you get lots of light in, and face it to the south where you get most of your sun all winter. And I mean, you keep it lit up. Oh, and then I had to put this in there because I thought this would remind you of something.
Me?
Yeah, that not remind you of anything? This is something, an example. This was kind of reminded me of the Japanese tourists that came to get down, boy, down. The hotel, the place where the Japanese families, husband and wives, came to conceive under the north.
Oh yeah, the Northern Lights.
Yeah, I thought I'm going to stick that in there for Mark because that's what that
I
reminds
just
me.
was wondering why their beds were on fire.
No, it's just they just look red. I don't know why they did that. Slam, and that's the end, and that's this. That picture right there, in many ways, is an example of what I've always wanted to have, and that's a house. Ever since I saw the movie Swiss Family Robinson when I was about 6 or 8 or whenever it was, or
A tree
12,
house.
I've wanted a house in the trees just like theirs, where I could pull the ladder up and or the stairs up, and nobody could get to me, and I could just lock them away and just be up there in my house.
Looks like Rivendell.
Yeah, kinda. I've just always thought it'd be cool to live in a treehouse. And Tina said, "Thank you, Mark." She thought the same thing, so I'm not sure which thought you had. Northern
But
Lights.
the beds were on fire.
Oh, okay. Well, this one's looks red too to me. The lights where they've.
Yeah, but don't look like it's on fire.
Well, okay.
Does look like there's flames coming up out of the bed sheets.
Well, okay. I guess it does a little bit right here.
And
Well,
over on the other one too.
yeah. Well, I know that's what I meant though,
And
right
then
here.
you see the reflection of the burning bed up on the ceiling.
Well, that's glass wall. It's just reflecting the northern lights.
I've gone into rooms that were on fire back when I used to do some of that looked just like that.
Yeah. You did that in Ohio, didn't you?
I did. Usually you can't see a darn thing, but every now and again you get one you can see.
Yeah, most of the time it's smoke. So anyway, that's the end of that. But I just think some of that stuff's really interesting. In some ways, some people are reverting back to. I mean, we look at some of these houses and things and think, wow, that's cool. That's all new. And what a great new idea. But they're really not. Most of them are really great old ideas. We just didn't think about them in a long time. Maybe not tree houses, but I know there's a TV show where they build tree houses. They're real expensive, but I'd still like to have one. They build theirs too fancy. I don't want anything like that. I'd rather mine was made out of a scrap ship washed up on the beach or something. Oh, that's not what I meant to do.
There's been a show on here. I don't know if it's still on or not. My wife and I really liked watching it. They were going and finding old buildings and old log buildings and old stone buildings and moving them and rebuilding them somewhere else and putting them back into they'd take old barns and build houses out of them or whatever. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I can't remember what the name of that was.
well, you may be the one that told me about that. Somebody's told me about that.
Brenda says she watches it quite often.
Well, she may be talking about the Treehouse show.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure which one she's talking about.
Well, I remember they took down a stone motel, basically a hotel that George Washington had stayed in.
Oh, cool.
And they took the darn thing clear down to Texas, of course, and put it back up down there, and it was a neat old building. But at least it's not falling apart still.
That's true, but it just seems a little wrong to take it plumb out of the country. But I get it.
Clear to Texas, of all places.
Yeah. Well, let's see here. I think I've got this picture. Let me see if I can show you guys this. It's not got anything to do with what Mark was just saying. It's got something to do with what I said earlier about I'd like to have one of these. And here's an example of a guy building one. And that's an airplane home. And this guy's, and I don't know what he had to pay for that, but there's a good chance he could get that really cheap. Now there's value in the aluminum to recycle and then I'm sure it's got the engine pulled off of it, just emptying the cells. And they probably, if they emptied all the other stuff out and what they could reuse or keep or have rebuilt, then you could take this thing down and build a house in it. You could change it all up. I mean, you're going to be living in something round, but if you get some of the newer stuff, that's a 727 there, which is not that big. But they're long. They're not that big around, but they're long, and you can have quite a house in there. I always thought that'd be neat. I always wanted to be able to sit up here in the front at night and look out the windows at the stars and stuff. Don't live in, maybe take it somewhere where I could see northern lights, but down here we wouldn't see that. But you could see stars if you got out of town. Ouch, ouch, ouch. I think he wants me to get my arm off his chair because I'm disturbing his nap. Is that what it is? He's giving me a look. I'm going to interpret it to be, how about scratching my head? But probably
So
not.
what do they got that sitting on for a foundation?
Here's another one that they've done. I don't know if it's the same kind of plane, but well, I don't know exactly. Probably steel poles, and then they've probably got it mounted into the. If I was doing it, I would take the poles or whatever I was supporting it and build them into like the wing fixture. Where this one you can see where the wing was. It's just empty. And you could but there's mounting points in there that would hold the airplane up, and you could affix it to, some kind of a stand or a base, and it would hold the airplane because it holds the airplane. They hold the airplane and fly it all the time. And you could, depending on again how you're doing it, you could put one up here in the nose gear, where the nose gear trunnions are, and hold it up. And probably back here in the tail. I mean, you could fix it. There's lots of ways you could fix it, affix it, or whatever, and make it stay. Let's see. I don't know if there's anything else or not.
That's just.
I just
It looks like that'd be so unstable out front, but maybe not.
No, you got to remember they fly like that. I mean, that's how they're made. Then they've got spars structures that go all the way to the nose. But you could put something under the nose. If you use the nose, you could keep the landing gear mount up front, and you could mount that to a steel pole like this, and bolt that into the gear trunnions, and then it'd be solid as Sears, as they used to say. But this is an inside example of they're watching TV in the cockpit there. Wouldn't take you long to build it. Just
but you can see it's not an 85 incher.
What do you mean by 85 inches wide? Oh, the
That
TV. What's Tina saying? You said 85 inch.
Tina said she had to move because Morgan wanted a chair.
Oh. How would they insure that? House or plane? A house, because you never turn it back. I mean, these are being scrapped. In essence, they're never going to be flown again. If somebody didn't buy it and use it for something, it would be. Oops. How'd that
You
get up?
could go to that spot west of Tucson, Arizona, and there's like a gazillion airplanes sitting out there just doing nothing.
And some of those are just there to be scrapped out eventually. They kept some of them. I mean, most of those airplanes are very high time for flying, and they don't meet any standards today. They're not fuel efficient. They're not. And people bitch and talk about, oh yeah, we got to change our airplanes because the greeners don't like how much fuel they burn and all that. That ain't got nothing to do with it. Bottom line is how much money it costs the company to fly them, because the newer airplanes and newer engines are much more efficient. They go a lot further on a gallon of jet fuel than the old ones did.
But a lot of those planes are military planes, and they're just out there dead in the desert.
Yeah,
it's not a museum.
No.
It's just a graveyard, basically.
there are some of them that are out there that the military still has some in service, and they use those to get parts off of sometimes. But I think we might have had to go get a part in one time for a, what did they call that thing? A saber. It was called a saber liner in civilian use, but the military used them to, or at least the Army and Air Force used them to transport, like, you know, high-ranking officers around the country. And I T-37 or something. I can't remember what they called them. And we had one in the shop that had a spar problem, I think. And I want to say we went out there and got a part through that graveyard for that, but I'm not positive. I didn't work on it, so I can't remember all the details. But my leg's cramping. Your dogs are spoiled rotten. Well, that's what pets are for. Anyway, so I don't know. Or it all, how does that keep popping up? Oh, I know why. Turn your live button on, silly man. Yeah, we're looking for houses. Brenda is not quite as adventurous as I am when I start talking about trying to build a Quonset hut house or a trailer or a compartment, a container house. But the Quonset hut house thing, I actually could get excited about because it has so many benefits. It's quick to put up. It's almost weatherproof for anything we have in this country. And you can spray insulate the inside, and you can drop a ceiling. Some of them you can have an upstairs down the middle and still have plenty of room. You got room in the back. They're just, I think and they're not that expensive compared to other houses. Now you can make anything expensive, but compared to what other houses are selling for right now, they're not. They're nothing like they are back here. I'll tell you that.
So are they readily available? I mean, kits or
Yeah.
whatever?
They're readily available. Cargo containers are too. I mean, there's people now going into business to sell them because more and more places are using them. And like I said, you can even get new ones. I think California, if you places where you can build them in California, I think they require you to buy a new one. And quite honestly, I think I want a new one because you never know what's been hauled in those things.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been something.
Well, I mean, they built whole cities of them in the sandbox. The boys and girls all
Yeah,
lived.
they did. They had
I
tried.
mean, if they were living on base, they were living in Connex boxes.
Yep.
And somehow they managed to survive that heat. I mean, you must be able to keep them relatively cool.
Well, Carol says she believes that whenever we get the next one, whatever we live in is going to be the one just right. I hope so. I really do. We're in to discover a piece of property yet a couple of days ago up on the mountain. It's a little bit intriguing. It's kind of far from everything from what we are now, but I think it's 5 acres on the mountain, and we can build anything we want to. It's not restricted, and it's already got electricity run to it. It's already approved for 3 septic systems. And what else? I said 5 acres. Didn't have to put a well on it though, and that could cost some money because up there you never know how deep you're going to have to go.
It got live water on it somewhere.
No, what? Do what now?
It doesn't have like a spring or something running.
No spring or anything on it.
Because with the filtration systems that are dirt cheap now,
Oh yeah, I don't have.
you could just run a spring right into the house.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with that. I like spring water. And like you said, you can run them through filters these days, and they're readily available, and they would take care of it and get anything out of it you didn't want. Probably stuff you've been drinking for years.
Well, yeah, you and I did. We just drank out of the creek.
I thought about that again the other day.
I can't imagine how many gallons of water I drank right out of the creek.
I got everything today is just cramping up.
Maybe that's why your legs cramping.
Well, I'm drinking what water?
Because we drank too much out of the creek.
That could be. That was my knee that time it caught me. I was thinking the other day about that. There was a couple of spots in the creek below Grandma's that my cousin Bruce and I and Tommy, when he was with us, we didn't let him run with us a lot because he was younger. You know how mean boys are, or can be anyway. And but we had a couple of favorite places where we drank out of the creek all the time because the water was clear and cold, and it was running over rocks, which everybody said if it was running over rocks,
it was filtered.
it's filtered. Exactly. So that's where we would get drink, and I'd go there almost every time I went just to get. I'm gonna tell you something. That was cold, clear, and it tasted so good.
So you remember the piney woods up there above Joe McQueen's place? Then there was 2 live springs in that up kind of on the east side of those woods that we camped at all the time. And we drank gallons, for years out of those, and those springs were bubbling right out of the ground. You know, the sand was like moving around where it was bubbling up.
Oh, yeah.
And golly, that was the best water ever.
That probably was semi-filtered then. At least it was.
But, hell, there was farms all around it. So.
Well, that was the rest of my story. Was I got the
cows were upstream and downstream, and which
that's in my mind's eye. I flew up like on the whatever that mapping thing is, Google Earth, and I could see me flying upstream a couple hundred yards where the cows always got in it and watered and drank. And I thought, oh, we drank cow crap and urine probably for all those years. Of course, it never hurt none of us.
Which is why it was the best tasting water ever.
Yeah, we thought it was just the best stuff. And I'm still here to tell the story, so I believe it. Either I got inoculated by it, or it wasn't that bad to begin with.
But I also know that like you can buy some of this fancy spirit water in the bottle, like, and I know where it's bottled. It's bottled on the South Platte River, just east of Denver, Colorado. One of the most filthy places I could imagine. And I assume they're filtering it somehow. I hope so.
That's a funny thing too about that. When we grew up, I always heard, in fact, when I went to New Mexico the first time I was in Boy Scouts, that was a big deal. Don't drink the water out of the creek because of Giardia.
Right.
Growing up back here, that was never something we heard of. We didn't have any beavers back here.
No, but we had Giardia.
Oh, I'm sure we did, but nobody ever got sick from it.
No, not that I know of. But I did get Giardia in New Mexico.
Yeah, I think I remember you telling that.
That was a lot of fun. And that was at a little bubbly spring at 11,000 feet. There wasn't a beaver within a bazillion miles of that place.
Yeah, that has to make you wonder, doesn't it?
But the elk had been there. It was in bighorn sheep. Yeah. So they probably got a dose of it somewhere else and brought it up there and
does that affect them in any way? Probably doesn't.
What's that?
It doesn't affect them otherwise, does it?
I don't think so, but it did me.
Yeah. Diana, Brenda's right. And she gave a good explanation of that. There's a little bit more to it. It's 11 miles from near the lake, uh, Chilhowie Lake or Lake Calderwood, depending on where you want to start it. That for 11 miles to the North Carolina line, state line, there's 318 curves in 10 or 11 miles down through there, they claim. And some of it is just literally like this. I mean, one curve after another. And motorcycle people just love to ride it. And it's become it became a big deal. I don't know if it's as big now, but I've actually been up there when there were tour groups from Italy over here just to ride that road. And so they could say they'd ridden the dragon. But there's in East Tennessee, there's roads all over the place that were similar. But what was really unique about the Tail of the Dragon that I think a lot of people miss the point is not just it's really curvy for 10 or 11 miles, but there's no driveways or anything that cut in on it for that whole period because you're surrounded on both sides by either the national forest or the national park. So there's no living on that part. And so you're not ever going to have to worry about somebody pulling out. And there's a few areas where you can pull off the road, but they're real visible. And, they're in places where, they're not going to pull out in front of anybody. The biggest hazard on the biggest hazard on the Tail of the Dragon is the people themselves who try to go too fast. And then the next biggest hazard are people in cars, and particularly people driving semi trucks. Their drivers, they look at that like it's a shortcut across the mountains, and it is one of the few ways you can cross the mountains down here on this end of the Smokies. So rather than go all the way around the park, they're looking for a place to go through or under. They can't go through it technically, but Tail of the Dragon runs right along the southern border of the Smokies. And if you look on a map, it looks like a shortcut. And if you don't know how to read maps, and apparently a lot of these people don't, they'll just strike off down there with their 75-foot semi truck or 80 feet counting the tractor and everything, and they can't get through there. A friend of mine used to say the math ain't right. The curves are too sharp. It's steep on one half of it till you cross the top of the mountain. A truck can't get through there without covering up, both lanes. And it's just 2 lane. And the truck to swing through those curves, he's got everything blocked. I've seen cars run up underneath truck trailers there. I've seen it happens all the time to motorcycle people. You go around the corner and there'll be a truck stretched out in front of you on your side of the road, no place to go but the ditch. And there's a good chance his rear wheels are in the ditch. So, and that's a problem. And they haul people out there, about every holiday weekend. I'd say somebody comes out there, and it's probably way more often than that. Few people die up there, have been killed, but way more have come out of there with broken bones and that kind of stuff. But it's thousands of people ride it. I had a guy interview me one time. They were interviewing me about our motorcycle club that I was in, and they asked me about riding the dragon because the guy, about all he knew about motorcycles was that people like to go ride the dragon. And I said, well, yeah. And I told him that, some people like to go up there and that some people felt like they were honing their skill to go fast. I said, I don't go there, which is true. And a lot of locals I knew didn't go up there because it was too full of crazy people and people from out of town. And, they'd have club meets up there and they would literally race the road. Uh, as long as they didn't get caught, or crashed, and that's just how it was. And they actually like to race it at night because you could race it at night, and if there was anybody coming, you could see their headlights, so you knew where to. And some of those guys ran it enough that they knew the curves. I mean, it was kind of like they memorized the whole thing. But I told him I didn't go up there because of that reason. And the paper came out, and there, lo and behold, there it said that Tim Pruitt likes to go up there every week and hone his skills on his motorcycle. And I thought, you asshole, you put my name in there like that, because all the local, like I said, local people knew better. They didn't. They only went through there when they had to go travel somewhere and wanted some nice scenery. But
A reporter wouldn't do that.
yeah, well, that one sure as heck did. Yeah, he put it right in there, and
They never tell falsehoods in print.
yeah, right. I had to tell everybody in the club I did not say that because they said it says you were up there honing your skills. I was like, no. Oh man. So that was moral of that story is watch who you're talking to, I guess. Or beat some sense into him before he goes off to, get his. Oh,
They took your death head way over that.
Yeah, that's right. They sure would have. You need to go out. Hey, you need to go out. You need to go outside. What? That's my boy. That's my boy. Aren't you?
He don't look like he needs to go out.
Well, he just came back. He went over that way and came back. And he can't get through the door right now because I've got it pushed to for Brenda. Well, anyway, it's about time to go. And when I go, then he can go out. You can just cross your legs if you have to, just for a few minutes. Okay. Said we were talking about smilodons earlier, Mark. The smilodon in me was starting to rise up because there was a bird out there I needed to get. So anyway, what is Diana saying? Tina? Amazing, such a great attitude. So many people would just complain all about the arthritis. Yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? I complain too much now. Mine's not, well, I do have arthritis. My problems, most of mine's being caused by something else right now. But it sucks. Getting old is not for wimps. Well, you're welcome, Carol. Thank you for coming in and watching and not being bored to death. And if you were, thank you for not telling me that you were bored to death. And Diana and Mike and Tina and Chuck, if you're still here, thanks for coming in, buddy. I'm glad to see you on screen now. There's Maple Bacon still here. And Mike, if you're still available, send me a Instagram note here in a little bit and tell me, and I'll give you a call because I missed you yesterday. And anybody else that's still in here, thank you very much for showing up today and listening to our jabber and
our ramblings.
Yeah, our ramblings. Well, there's wisdom in those ramblings, brother. You just got to look for it. And just remember that.
I'm picking up what you're laying down.
I thought you would. Speaking of that, I saw an Andy Griffith yesterday.
Oh no.
It was Opie was trying to win Andy electric razor at the fair, and he was shooting the rifles at the targets. Dang, he couldn't hit nothing. He knew he wasn't that bad a shot. So Randy went over and checked it out, and the sights were bent on the rifle, so he figured out where it was hitting and just applied a little Kentucky windage and just started wiping them out. He took everything they had in the booth. And they said, "You got to go, mister. We can't afford you." And they kept trying to change guns on him because they knew if he got a different gun, he'd start missing again. He said, "No, I just like this one. I believe I'll keep it." And they finally had to get him leaving. He said, "I'm going to tell you something. There's going to be a young boy come back here in a little bit. He better win something." But he said, "Don't let him cheat." He said, "I don't want you cheating." He said, "I want him to do it and win it." And of course, he had to hit the target, ring the bell 5 times or something like that, and he could get for a quarter. And he could get the electric razor for his pot. Of course, he got it because they had one rifle.
I don't remember that episode.
You don't remember that one?
No.
Oh man, there was a couple of them along that same line. There was one where Jerry Van Dyke, Dick Van Dyke's, I think, younger brother. He was in one, and he got hired by the Hoochie Coochie Man that had the what was he called his show? The Mysteries of Africa or something. And he had a Egyptian dancer there, that was wiggling and shaking, and so the women in town wanted Andy to run him off, and because he was they were just getting too lewd, just uncouth. And they had Jerry Van Dyke was playing the Sultan, and the name of the guy's show was the Sultan's Vixen or something like that.
What does Brenda mean when she's saying you're having Christmas tomorrow?
That's what she means. We're having Christmas tomorrow. Our youngins have been gone. They were gone at Christmas, so they decided that we would just celebrate Christmas on the 7th of January this year.
Because they picked a whole new date for Christ's birth.
A whole new date and a whole new month and a whole new year and everything.
Well, I mean, they figured he might have been born in April anyway.
Well, yeah, so they picked another date.
So they picked a whole new date.
And so tomorrow, Brenda or Jennifer, Kizzy has been in New Orleans.
Oh, that's right. They went to Louisiana.
Yeah, they went to Louisiana for Christmas and the New Year's. I mean, you're going to be down there. You might as well stay for New Year's, right?
I didn't know that. He's not from New Orleans, though, is he?
Well, he's from the area around there.
I mean, I thought they were rural.
Well, they live, I think the family he's got down there now, and I don't know if this is where he grew up, but it might be. They live on the north side of Pontchartrain.
Oh, yeah.
So, he goes down. They go down there, and they always go downtown. So, Tim, you don't have to buy them Christmas gifts for 2020. Hey,
that is
bacon.
Hell yeah. Exceptional thinking.
I knew I liked you, Mike.
That's how quick he is on the uptake.
Man, you cut and he bleeds, buddy. That's excellent thinking, Brenda. Try to help me remember to say that tomorrow.
You need to write that one down in your book.
But I think, Mike, because they caused the problem, that we should get presents, just not them. Yeah, I need to make damn sure I bring that up.
Oh my.
Anyway, so new Christmas day for us.
What does Canadians do? Think ahead.
Thinking ahead.
Thinking ahead.
All right, brother. talk to you in a day or two or something, hopefully. How's that saddle coming?
Oh, it's good.
It's good, good.
Oh, well, it just needs to get the heck out of my shop.
I got you.
That's the last repair, the last like fixing somebody else's saddle I'm ever gonna do.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm done. I could have built 7 brand new ones
Mm.
during this. It's just not happening again. And
That
not that the guy that built that 100 years ago didn't know what he was doing. It's just you dig a little deeper and like, oh, that needs fixed too. Oh no, that it's like a money pit saddle.
Is that the one that had the shelf on the, what do you call that? Is it not the cantle, but
Yeah, it had a Cheyenne roll on the cantle,
no, on the cantle.
which I removed because that's what the customer wanted.
See, I remembered that order.
But the parts under it, inside the guts of the thing need some work. So
Show everybody how handsome you are. Oh, said I'd be a television star if they just let me. My physique.
All right, brother man.
All right, brother.
All our people.
All our people. See, I'll talk to you in a day or two.
All right, later on.
All right, bye, buddy. And everybody else, thank you for coming in today, as always. And love you guys. I wouldn't be here without you. And if you bring a few friends with you every once in a while, that'd be okay too. But don't have to. I'm like you guys. It doesn't. I don't want to get too crowded, to be honest. I don't know if there's very many YouTubers say that or not, but that's kind of how I feel. Now, if more people came on Thursday nights, nah, I don't think I want too many in that one either. Actually, we couldn't have a conversation. It would just turn into streaming comments all the time. So anyway, everybody have a great rest of your weekend. I hope you have decent weather where you're at. I know some will and some won't. Ours, I think, is supposed to blow through. Hang on just a minute and I'll let you out. But thanks, everybody, and we'll see you all again real soon. And keep your powder dry. Bye-bye.